In the ancient city of Tangier, where the sea waves converge with the mountain breezes, there lived a young man named Yusuf. He was an example of a hard-working and ambitious young man, dreaming of becoming a famous doctor who heals bodies and wounds of the soul. At the medical faculty, Joseph shone with his intelligence and love for science, and his life was going as he liked, full of hope and success. But fate had another opinion, and on a fateful day, his family decided to go on a trip to Tetuan, that city that boasts of its beauty and history. The trip excluded his grandmother, who preferred to stay at home, not knowing that this choice would forever change the course of their lives. On their way, disaster struck as a truck veered off course and collided with the family car. Mother and father died instantly, and Yusuf remained suspended between life and death in a deep coma. When the news reached his grandmother, she rushed to the hospital, her heart breaking in pain and sadness, her eyes drowning in tears of bereavement. After days of waiting and praying, Yusuf woke up from his coma, but he was not the same. He became amnesiac, and even worse, he lost his sight. The dream that he had every night to become a doctor who would restore sight to the eyes turned into a mirage. His grandmother stayed by his side, accompanying him on his new journey, the journey of coping with his painful reality and the search for a glimmer of hope in the darkness of despair. Thus, Yusuf's life turned from an inspiring success story into an epic of patience and challenge, in which he struggles every day to find a new meaning to life and to prove that the will can illuminate the way even in the darkest circumstances. As the days in the hospital passed, little by little life began to return to Yusuf. His grandmother sat next to him every day, telling him the stories of his childhood and reminding him of his dreams and ambitions. One day, while she was telling him about his first day at medical school, Yusuf felt something moving in his mind. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together. Suddenly, memories began to flow to him, memories of his childhood, friends, family, and dreams of becoming a doctor. Memories were coming back to him one by one, and a light had been lit in the darkness of his memory. And with each returning memory, he felt pain and grief over the loss of his parents, but at the same time, he was grateful that he was still alive and had a grandmother who loved and supported him. With the return of his memory, Yusuf began to remember why he wanted to become a doctor. He wanted to help people and make their lives better. And although he could no longer see, he decided not to let this stop him. He began to use his other senses better and learned how to adapt to his new state. With the help of his grandmother and friends at the medical school, Yusuf found new ways to continue his education. Using audiobooks and assistive technology for the blind, he began to focus on areas of medicine in which he could contribute even without his eyesight. Over time, Joseph became an inspiration for everyone around him, an example of determination and determination. Thus, Yusuf's story turned from a story of grief and loss into a story of hope and challenge, as he proved that disability is not the end of the road, and that a person with his will and determination can overcome the most difficult challenges. And every day, Joseph lived by the adage, "What does not kill us makes us stronger." After graduating from medical school, Yusuf found himself in isolation, locked in the walls of his house, which he shared with his affectionate grandmother. Loneliness enveloped him like a thick fog. His friends, who had once been the source of laughter and joy, had disappeared like a mirage. He had nothing but the sound of the radio filling the void with his melodies and stories. One day, while he was listening to his favorite show, His grandmother encouraged him to participate in a competition by phone. With his confident voice and touching words, Yusuf caught the attention of everyone in the studio. There was a spark in his voice, an unquenchable spark of life and hope. The program team was so impressed by the fluency of his tongue and the depth of his story that they invited him to be a permanent guest on their programs. From there, the idea was born for Yusuf to have his radio show, a suggestion that came from an intelligent girl in the team who saw in Yusuf what he did not see in himself. The new program was a resounding success, and Yusuf became a voice of hope and inspiration for listeners. And over time, a special relationship grew between him and that girl who believed in him, developing into a deep love. They decided to get married and build a life together, a life full of challenges, but also with love and support. Thus, Joseph became a new family, a child who filled his life with laughter and joy, and a wife who stood by his side at every step. Despite the darkness that surrounded him, Joseph found light in the love and support of his family, and he realized that life, no matter how cruel, always carries among its folds the seeds of hope and happiness. Yusuf and his family lived a beautiful life, a life that is told as a story of inspiration for future generations.